Hi guys, in this video, I will be looking at writing the equations which show how acid salts are formed. Remember that a salt is a compound formed when some or all of the hydrogen ions in an acid have been replaced by metal ions or ammonium ions. As such, we can reclassify a salt based on the amount of hydrogen ions which are replaced in the acid. If all of the hydrogen ions are replaced, a normal salt will form. If only some of the hydrogen ions are replaced, an acid salt is formed. I'm going to jump right in with an example, and we'll start with the dibasic acid, sulfuric acid. So we have an alkali, which is added to sulfuric acid. We would expect a normal salt to be formed when all of the hydrogen ions in the acid have been replaced by metal or ammonium ions. So our salt or normal salt to be formed here would be sodium sulfate. If, however, we were looking at the formation of an acid salt, this means we would be looking at only one of the hydrogen ions in the acid being replaced. Now, the trouble here in writing the formula of the salt for most students is figuring out what is the formula of the anion. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the formula of our acid, which is sulfuric acid, and I'm going to take out a hydrogen ion. On taking out a hydrogen ion, the rest of the molecule which is left is HSO4. And remember, sulfuric acid was a neutral molecule. So this means if I take out an H plus ion, the charge on the rest of the molecule would be a single negative charge. So if sodium ions are combining with HSO4 minus ions, the formula of the salt to be formed would be NaHSO4. And of course, we would expect water to be formed as well. And this is our balanced chemical equation, which shows the formation of an acid salt, right, versus a normal salt. You should be able to write both equations showing the formation of the normal salt and the acid salt. We started by looking at the dibasic acid, sulfuric acid, and this is because only dibasic and tribasic acids will form acid salts. And this is because they have two or more hydrogen ions, which allows a normal salt and one or more acid salts to be formed. Let's look at the formation of the acid salt expected when phosphoric acid reacts. We will start by looking at the normal salt, which is formed between sodium hydroxide and phosphoric acid. In a normal salt, all of the hydrogen ions are replaced by metal ions or ammonium ions. So we will form sodium phosphate and water. This is the normal salt to be formed. If we want to look at the formation of the two acid salts, which can be formed by phosphoric acid, we need to be able to work out what would be the anion formed in the acid salt. So I'm going to repeat what I did before, where I'm going to take my formula for my phosphoric acid. I'm going to break it down. So I have H3PO4. If I break down my H3PO4 and I take out one hydrogen ion, the rest of the molecule left is H2PO4 minus. So this is one possible anion which can be found in an acid salt. If I take out two hydrogen ions, the rest of the formula of the salt, the anion would be HPO4. So I took out two hydrogen ions. Because my two hydrogen ions result in a double positive charge, it means the charge on the anion would be 2 minus because our original molecule was neutral. So this is a shorthand method to help you remember what would be the formula of the salt to be formed. So if we have the H2PO4 minus ion, this means the formula of the salt to be formed is NaH2PO4. If the formula of the anion in the salt is HPO4 minus, this means the rest of the formula of the salt is Na2. With the formula of the salt, we can now fill in the rest of the information with regards to balancing of the equation. Right, so salt and water is formed. So I'm filling this in. Right, so we balance our equation. Right, and these are our three balanced equations which show the formation of both a normal salt and the two possible acid salts to be formed by phosphoric acid. Right, I'll also mention the name of the two acid salts, where we have H2PO4 minus. This is a dihydrogen phosphate. So the name of the salt is sodium dihydrogen phosphate. Where we have HPO4, the name of the anion is hydrogen phosphate. So the name of the salt is sodium hydrogen phosphate. So in summary, a salt is a compound formed when metal and ammonium ions replace the hydrogen ions in an acid. A normal salt is formed when all of the hydrogen ions are replaced, and an acid salt is formed when some of the hydrogen ions are replaced. You should be able to write equations to show the formation of the acid salts from sulfuric acid and phosphoric acid. And you have to take note of at least one other example of an acid salt, which is sodium hydrogen carbonate. And this is one other example of an acid salt.